And we're going live. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, ladies, gentlemen, and other peoples. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live here on YouTube, brought to you by the folks at Nerd Caliber. I think I just heard my voice. Is that me or is that you, Greg? No, I'm turned off on everything. Very nihilistic way of looking at things. I'm turned off on everything, Greg. Anyway,
damn.
God damn, I know. Anyway, folks, welcome to the show. I hope you all had a happy Halloween. Very interesting Halloween. Those of you who were at cons like Rhode Island, I hope you all had a good time. I didn't make it this past weekend, and I was moderately jealous until I actually saw a picture of somebody, Scott Ian of Anthrax, was at Rhode
Yep,
Island.
I saw him. He seems to show up at a few of those. I've seen him in Boston before.
Yeah. So now I'm kind of really jealous.
Yep.
Brady, welcome to the show. Joshua, yeah, we do kind of look like brothers. There's the story behind that. That Greg has told many times. Greg is One Dilemma Photography. I'm sorry, I'm jumping into your introduction.
Knock yourself out.
And he basically got into photography because somebody said he should cosplay me at our very first cosplay and photography expo, Nerd Caliber's own event. And he discovered that, I told him that if he's pretending to be me and wearing a camera, he's taking photos for us. And he did and loved it. So.
And yeah, and the bill for all of the camera gear that I bought since then is heading your way soon.
Nerd Caliber, courtesy of the North Pole.
Sadly I missed the opportunity. I for anybody that's on there that might have been in Rhode Island Comic Con this weekend, hopefully you stopped by and said hello. I was set up where Rodney usually is, and the running joke is I'm Rodney 2.0. Stupidly, I didn't think of it until I got there that I very easily could have busted out my Rodney cosplay and fucked with people. Yep. There we go. Sorry, first F-bomb.
That's it. Demonetized right there. Good night, folks.
Good night.
Jaden, welcome
Sadly enough
to the show. So in case I didn't give you, and I didn't really give you an introduction, Greg, introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody that's out there. Greg Snyder, aka Wonder Llama Photography and or cosplay, depending on the event, sometimes both. Let's see, what was I going to mention? Anybody in the greater Boston area, if you're around, especially if you have kids, I am going to be at the Brookline Public Library on Sunday for a fundraiser for the library. It's a Harry Potter themed fundraiser. They're decking out the library as Diagon Alley. I'll be there as Hagrid. We have a ton of really cool Harry Potter cosplayers. It's a fundraiser. Check out the Brookline Public Library's webpage for information. It's mostly a kids-focused event, so if you've got kids, awesome. Hope you can make it. Love to see you.
Excellent, and I realized I didn't introduce myself yet. I'm Rodney Brown, the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber. Joshua, do I play Fortnite? I do not. I don't know if Greg does. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say no.
I'm more of a first-person shooter RPG guy.
Same here. Anyway, we got a bunch of things. Greg and I have a tendency to talk a lot, so we're going to jump right into stuff here. No, not us. And the first and the most recent news, this just broke. And that is, it just appeared on your screen, a picture of Colin Farrell that is, of course, from Fantastic Beasts #1. And the news is that Colin Farrell is in talks. Some sites reporting it's done, but Deadline, which is where I generally go for accurate stuff about Hollywood, is saying he's in talks to be the Penguin in the upcoming The Batman movie. And I gotta say, at first I'm a little put off. It's like, oh, pretty boy Penguin, but then I look at this, his character from Fantastic Beasts, and some of the other things he's done where he's playing a more mature character. And then I look at some of the other people that have done, the Penguin. He's not just Danny DeVito. He's Burgess Meredith. He's Robin. Oh, come on, Taylor Lord, right?
Sure.
From Gotham. Somebody correct me if I've got that wrong. Anyway, um, so he doesn't necessarily have to be, a Danny DeVito monster. Uh, he can be all sorts of interesting, different ways of portraying the Penguin, and I like this. I love the casting of Paul Dano as Riddler, as we talked about last week. So, Greg, what are we? Where are we on board on this, or no?
It certainly sounds interesting. I haven't read a lot about how they are approaching the movie itself, whether it's going to be kind of in that same grim, dark, um, excuse me, of the Christian Bale era Batman, whether it's going to be, hopefully, it crosses the low bar set by Batfleck. I don't know how you could not cross that particular bar, but never say never.
Yeah, I kind of like Batfleck, but okay.
We were joking earlier, and we kind of just as a total larf, it's not going to happen, but with the Riddler, Catwoman, and Penguin all in one movie, it would be very funny to do like an Adam West era, late 60s, super campy, do a little Batusi. It's never going to happen, but anybody that's ever seen that, the Burgess Meredith's Penguin was was amazing. It was, that was, we were both joking with him, yes, which was probably just him doing W.C. Fields. And yes, we are both very old.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree. It's not going to happen. It would be hilarious, but with the title The Batman, and casting somebody of the age of Robert Pattinson, it looks like they're thinking about, if not, I don't think they're going to actually adapt Batman Year One, but it looks like they're thinking about either Year One or Year Two, in that time frame from the comic book. Pre-Robin, he's still getting his, sea legs underneath him, feeling out how to be the Batman. And it looks like they're casting people who can be very serious. I mean, Paul Dano, he's done some funny stuff, but that as an actor, that guy is serious as cancer, and really good. And Pattinson is not a yuck it up kind of guy that I recall, not in any movies I've seen.
I'm still not convinced Robert Pattinson's going to make a decent Batman, but guess we'll see.
Yeah, well, as long as he makes a decent Bruce Wayne, you then put him in a rubber suit and kind of doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
And the other news, I didn't get a picture of this. It dropped so recently. Is right after that news. Apparently, Andy Serkis is in talks to be Alfred Pennyworth for the Batman. No word on whether or not it's going to be all motion capture CGI. Which would be hilarious.
For all those high flying stunts Alfred is known for.
Oh, just do it. I mean, just do 100% motion capture, but then just make it exactly like Andy Serkis. Yeah, because that's what he does.
Okay, I'm on board.
I want him to have the same accent that Ulysses Klaue did in the Avengers movies.
Yeah.
Maybe not that crazy, or maybe that crazy. It'd be an interesting take on Alfred.
That really broad South African accent.
But they cut things off a lot, They really.
Chop the off.
So there we go.
Good cast.
Good cast. Looks awesome. Again, like I said, I've seen sites reporting that this is a done deal with Colin Farrell. I don't know that's true, but fingers crossed. And I'd love Andy Serkis in as Alfred. Moving on to our next one. This is for so many friends of mine out there. The news is, apparently including Greg, the news is that Amazon has signed a 2-season deal to show and I guess help produce the second season of the Critical Role animated series, The Legend of Vox Machina. I have so many friends who are Critical Role fans. I myself am not. Not that I'm not a fan. I'm just not. I don't watch the podcast, read the comics, or any of that stuff. But I
Okay,
know
so
most of the characters because I have to take pictures of them.
I had apparently an earlier version of uh, of the topics for this evening. I am broadly aware of Critical Role. I've shot a lot of photos with a lot of Critical Role cosplayers. Um, I will reserve my for our next topic because apparently I jumped the gun a little bit.
Ah,
Nevertheless, it certainly sounds like an interesting approach to things. Amazon's got a ton of money to throw at this. They desperately want to get in on this market. It sounds like I don't want to say it can't fail, but it sounds like it's got a damn good chance of being pretty slick.
so Amazon does have a ton of money, and I'm going to go back to the image there because this is actually from the Kickstarter campaign. So what happened is the Critical Role people launched this as a Kickstarter campaign for the idea of making a single 22-minute animated special. It was produced by the anime studio Titmouse. They reached their original funding goal within minutes, not an hour, minutes. It continued to gain traction. It became the most funded TV film or animated project in Kickstarter history. It has so far raised more than $11.3 million. So they decided to make it a 10-episode season. And then Amazon went, hey, you know what? We want this. And they basically took it on board and then gave them enough money to do a second 14-episode season. So it'll be 2 seasons for a total of 24 episodes. The fact that they basically already raised all the money to start this, and they have okay, well, apparently they're dividing up into 2 12-episode seasons, according to 2 of the cast members. Well, Travis Willingham and Sam Riegel. So I'm guessing this is going to hit sooner rather than later because they must have already started production with all the money they've already raised. But it doesn't have an actual launch date in here, so we don't know for sure.
Well, I mean, they've got a veteran of Metalocalypse right there. You know, it's going to be amazing. And Titmouse knows a good thing or two about making quality animation.
So I was just looking them up, and I haven't seen a whole lot of stuff. What else do they do? What else have they done? Do we know?
They who?
Titmouse.
Oh, Titmouse is all the Adult Swim stuff.
Oh, okay. Wow.
They do. I want to say that they're like a ton of the Adult Swim stuff. Titmouse Studios. Yeah, they're you've probably seen their tag at the end of a bunch of stuff. It's got the looks like a little tiny blue bird that goes chirp.
Oh yeah. All right. Okay.
Work. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of stuff on Adult Swim. Marvel's Black Panther, Neo Yokio, Galaxy of Adventures.
Oh, that's right. They did Neo Yokio.
Big Mouth, Black Dynamite. They do a bunch of Rick and Morty stuff. God,
so
what else?
That's
stuff that I'm Totino's pizza roll commercial. I mean, right there. That's cred.
Black Dynamite, and what was the one you said right before that? Are as far apart in animation styles as I can possibly imagine. Wow, that says something for these guys. That's really cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so all my Critter friends out there, look forward to this. I wish I could tell you when, but it's not in the article I have. So that'll be cool when it happens. And congratulations to them for raising all that money.
Son of Zorn. Wow, that was a brief but very funny show. I forgot about that.
Oh wow.
And the Venture Brothers. Duh, of course, that was their big one.
Venture Brothers. Yeah. Yes.
There you go.
All right. So, in keeping with the spirit of animation, our next topic is the one I think Greg was about to jump onto, and that is we finally have confirmation and a date for the Into the Spider-Verse sequel. April 8th, 2022. You got a little while, 2.5 years. Um, so that's unfortunate, but at least we know that it's going to happen, and we now know when it's going to happen. It's about all we know, other than Lord and Miller are back doing it again.
I pray they can capture lightning in a bottle twice, because this was, I mean, Into the Spider-Verse was one of the most unique, visually stunning. It told a great story. It it got you right in the feels. It didn't feel like storytelling by committee like a lot of a lot of times DC stuff does. Sometimes some of the the Sony Marvel stuff has seemed to me. Let me put it this way: my wife, who's not really particularly a big nerd, we watched this and she was doing a little, "Oh my goodness, oh, this is amazing!" at the end of it. If you can,
yeah, she's a nerd.
She is a nerd. She's not a spider nerd. Let's put it that way.
That's true.
But I think if you're a fan of just visual artistry, even if you didn't give a shit about the story or the characters or anything else, just how visually stunning the entire thing was, you can watch it over and over again, and it's just insane.
And if you are old enough that you can do this without getting into trouble, go to YouTube and look up John Mulaney's outtakes for Spider-Ham. Wow.
Okay, I will have to do that.
Oh, the things that little spider pig said that never made it, understandably, into the movie.
PG-13 movie.
Oh yeah. It's hilarious. And we mentioned this, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Anyway, recently that Marvel has announced that Spider-Man Noir is going to be getting his own comic title again.
Nice.
As opposed to he did a short-lived series in the Marvel Knights or whatever their dark or noir or whatever they called it series, which is where he came from. But he's getting his own ongoing title apparently. So, woot, good for him.
Bring it.
Speaking of bringing it, this actually has nothing to do with animation, even though the image that just popped up there is, of course, from the animated Lego Batman movie. It is that Fox is going to be doing a series called Lego Masters, which is a competition series for people who will have a very short amount of time to build Lego assemblages based on whatever topic I guess they're given. And Will Arnett is going to be the host, the voice of one of the best Batmans. I guess Kevin Conroy is still the best, but one of the best Batmans.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. He's a pretty awesome Batman.
I think I throw it to Arnett personally, but that's me.
I really, as I said in my post, I wonder if he's going to do all of his hosting duties in black or very, very dark gray.
Or very, very, very dark gray.
Some of the best
Sable.
And he's got to get out there with a microphone and sing the song about his parents are dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just it, folks. It's a sort of nerd adjacent show. But if you're into Legos, which is
I think this is straight up nerd stuff. I mean, hopefully it won't be quite the sort of typical what do you call it? TV, like Fox TV, super over dramatized editing for game show stuff or reality show stuff. Hopefully it's a little bit more like Face Off or I was going to say Face Off in any case, where they actually focusing on people making things and building stuff. Because I can't speak for anybody else, but for me personally, Legos was literally the first thing I ever built, and that kicked off a love of rolling up the sleeves and making something weird.
Yep.
Then I don't know without that. I mean, there's only so much you can. All right, I'm going to drop a really old reference again. There's only so much you can do with Lincoln Logs.
And nobody in the audience, actually, nobody in the audience has said anything for a while. We still on? According to this, we're still on. But yeah, so from what I understand, it's not the production companies that are usually associated with these sort of Fox things. Brad Pitt's Plan B is one of the production companies. But it is Fox. I'm hoping you're right. I'm hoping it's going to be more like Face Off or like some of the Food Network, the Halloween Cupcake Wars or stuff like that, which are really, there's not a whole lot of drama in there unless the people make them. Like, oh look, here's my cake tower, and the whole thing fell apart because
Yep.
I don't know how to make them.
I like this quote at the end of the article. It gives me peace of mind to be able to continue building my relationships with the Lego groups at Arnett. Ultimately, my goal is Danish citizenship.
And that's Will Arnett in a nutshell.
And
Makes me wonder how much of his stuff is ad-libbed in the Lego movies that he's in. I'm assuming a lot, but yeah.
one can
Fox, February 5th, 9 p.m. Sunday nights, I believe. It's going to be a Sunday night thing. Or no, Wednesday night. Yeah, Wednesday, February 5th, 9 p.m. on Fox. So if you're into Legos, if you're into Will Arnett, and why wouldn't you be into both? Check it out. Moving on to our next, and this is our photo topic, although we've moved past that by a couple of things. Simply because more interesting stuff popped up after I had created this. But our photo topic in the teaser was, of course, the trailer dropped for the supposedly last trailer, although I doubt that it's going to be the last one, for the Witcher on Netflix. But it also gave us the release date, and that release date is December 20th, which is cool, and is also the release date of this little, indie sci-fi flick.
Is that Little Miss Sunshine 2?
No, it's Rise of the Guardians. No, Rise of something. Oh yeah, Star Wars.
Star Trek is coming out that week?
Star Trek. No, the other Star.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so this drops the same day as Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. The movie that has already set box office pre-sale records in almost every, and Greg has his. I'm kind of holding out to get my free ticket, for the review. Pardon me, my contacts are getting really wonky right now.
I don't want the pressure of having to review that one. There's just no way you can win.
Well, that's true. It's only the end of a 9-part series. With the last movie was super controversial. I mean, how could that
only
be?
if you choose to make it that way. It was just a movie otherwise.
Exactly. How could it be a problem reviewing that? But still, I'm a cheap old Yankee, and so free is nice. The trailer looks amazing. Greg has reservations about Cavill. Do we want to get into those?
I mean, not strong ones. He certainly looks like what's his face, Geralt. He's definitely got that lantern jaw. It's hard to beat that. Just watching some of the trailer, the acting, I always found Henry Cavill kind of wooden. Not Keanu Reeves wooden, but not. I don't know. I'm definitely going to watch it. I mean, I had no idea who, any of the, most of any of the Game of Thrones actors were before that came out, and they all brought the noise and the funk. So it looks big budget. It looks Game of Thrones season 3 and on budget.
Yep. Yeah, it looks big budget. I like Cavill's look as Geralt, and if you played the games, Geralt doesn't emote a whole lot anyway. I mean, he basically scowls. You can scowl.
True.
You're playing the character. Anything else beyond that is you're expanding his emotional range. So, I'm sure.
But that said, everything I've read about the series, all of the showrunners are going to great lengths to say it's based on the books. It's not based on the video games. We've intentionally steered clear of the video games.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's from a plot standpoint, or maybe even characterizations. You look at the character
Right.
designs,
Yep.
and boy, is this one of the most accurate and close character designs to a video game I've ever seen.
True. Um, I it is funny. I was watching the trailer. And I'm like, a lot of people really like these books. Maybe I should read these books one of these days. I've never read any of them. Excuse me. They're supposed to be quite good. Maybe that's the excuse I need. See how many I can cram into my brain hole before the season starts.
I'm pretty sure you can get a whole bunch of them in there. Looks like Jaden's having a seizure. So hope you're okay there, Jaden. But anyway,
blink twice if you need medical assistance.
Exactly. We have no idea where you're from, but we'll try to get 911 out there. Why did I have 2 Netflix things up? Oh well. All right, folks. It's time to move into the WTF section of our show tonight. I don't know if you've seen the latest trailer, the launch trailer for the game Death Stranding. But in 8 minutes, you finally kind of get a sense of at least what the background story of the game is all about. Which is nothing. We got none of that from any of the previous trailers. It was all, why is this guy walking through mountains with a baby in a bottle? Why is Mads Mikkelsen here? Why is Guillermo del Toro here? What the heck is going on? Why is the Bionic Woman here? Finally, this sort of lays out what the story is. But it still doesn't really give you much about what the gameplay is. And honestly, even the gameplay footage that was out before this doesn't give you much about what it is. It just really makes it look like, Hideo Kojima made a brilliant CGI movie with real actors with some gameplay elements in between. Based on the reviews I've seen so far, that's kind of what it is. But boy, is it freaking weird.
Wow. Yeah. We were talking before we went live. I know very little about it. I don't have any more idea what it is or what it plays like after watching the trailer than I did before watching the trailer. But I said to Rodney, well, crap, I may have to go buy a PS4 just so I can play this. It looks that crazy, weird, different, funky. Who the hell knows what it's going to be?
So every review I've seen online or read so far, all of them agree that it's brilliantly weird. Whether it's a brilliant game or not is all over the place. There are people who hate it as a game. There are people who think it's like one of the most genius games ever made. When I discovered that, and this is kind of a spoiler to the gameplay, but I guess you need to know this. One of the ways that you can fight off the sort of things from the separated dead side of this destroyed world is by crafting bombs out of your own excrement and urine.
I mean, who hasn't done that?
Most people, hopefully. But, yeah, I don't know.
No, I haven't either. Definitely not.
I mean, there's some little bit of, what's the word? Perverse enjoyment about the idea of making Norman Reedus make bombs out of his own poop. As you're there, the game master hitting your keys or playing with your controller. But honestly, that's just another example of Hideo Kojima is the weirdest friggin' guy working in the gaming industry today. And when cut loose from his previous employer and allowed to do whatever the heck he wanted, boy, did he.
Works for me.
We're on for the ride.
I'm gonna make a very tiny left turn here, just because so I've got the trailer up in another window, and with it paused, it's got a link to the Diablo 4 trailer. Have you had a chance to watch this, Rodney?
Yes.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did. So
I mean, it's a cinematic. It's nothing to do with the game. You know, a lot of people made the point Blizzard needed to get something out the door to look shiny. Don't look over here. Don't pretend you don't know anything about the other shit we're doing right now.
Right.
All of
this
which
has
is
nothing
entirely
to do
true.
with China.
Crap. You shouldn't have even said China. We just lost 4 of our sponsors.
Since we have none, that's okay.
But as purely cinematic video game trailers go, holy bleep and bleep, that was some wild stuff.
Yep. Just a second. Five Night at Jigsaw's, welcome to the show. Bruh. And so since you brought this up, and I don't have the images, unfortunately, for it, because I don't know why I didn't put this on our list, but let's talk. Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 trailers dropped. And as I said in a post about this, whatever problems we all might righteously have with Blizzard as a company, and frankly, they just got worse. Apparently, at BlizzCon, their anti-photography policy became even more militant this last BlizzCon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Didn't read that. I'll have to check that out.
Post by the wonderful cosplayer Danielle Boyo, and a bunch of people also verifying that. Which is obviously just a little bit of a problem for us in the cosplay industry and photography industry. It has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that, you know, they're kissing the ass of the Blessed King, the Golden Kingdom, the Blessed Kingdom. Anyway, there's a term.
Well, you know, if it made CNN, when I just did a quick search on BlizzCon 2019 photo problems, and the first one that pops up is CNN. If they've picked that up, yeah, wow. there's some, yeah.
But having said all that, they know how to make wonderfully distracting promotional material. The Diablo 4 trailer is one of the best short gothic horror films I've seen in a long time. Like, wow, I would make an actual movie series about this, please. I would watch it probably during the daytime because that's scary.
Yeah.
And Overwatch 2, if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it. There's a moment about 2/3 of the way through, and I have played literally 5 minutes of this game of Overwatch at the early press hours when they first were at PAX East in 2015, and that's it. And there's a point about 2/3 of the way through this trailer where something really exciting happens, and I had to bite my lip from shouting, "Yeah, yes, yeah!" Like, I know the characters because I got so many friends who play, and I take pictures of them, and that's about it. Jigsaw's, it's probably going to be fantastic. Which one? Overwatch 2 or Diablo 4 or Death Stranding? Because we're kind of going all over the place here, so let me know what you're referring to so we can comment on that or note it. But they're worth watching. Go watch them. Go watch the cinematics of those trailers. They're beautiful.
So, you know, I didn't even think about that, but it makes sense. I'm guessing if you're Blizzard, they're being very strict about photo stuff because they don't want a whole lot of people with Blizzard in one half of the photo and people with free Hong Kong photos in the other half. That's just, you know, unintentionally poking the sleeping bear. So or are they the bear?
The bear. They're the sleeping.
No, that's Russia.
They're the sleeping poo bear.
The sleeping panda.
No, they're the sleeping poo bear.
The sleeping poo bear. There we go. Anyway,
Jigsaw says both. Yeah. Both Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think they're both probably going to be fantastic. I think the addition of essentially single-player or co-op functions to Overwatch 2 is way overdue, and expands their player base out quite a bit. which may account for the shrinking player base for everybody who really hates the fact that they suck up to their communist overlords. Um, anyway, moving on
Moving on.
to our next topic that's actually on the list. Um, this announcement. So we talked last week a little bit about the fact that the two prequels that were in the works um, at HBO for Game of Thrones, one of them died, and the one that was supposed to be set basically during the period of the last long night or the long night is done. It was going to be on HBO Now or HBO Max, and then they just pulled the plug on it completely. Right after that, like actually while we were on the air last Tuesday, it came out that the other one now has a title. It's House of the Dragon. It's definitely the story of the Targaryens and Old Valyria, and it is a definite go at HBO, not HBO Max. So, yay! 10 episodes straight to series order. There's no pilot. There's no question. It's done. George R. R. Martin is one executive producer. Ryan Condal is the other. He is also the writer. It's being based on the book Fire and Blood. Or the stories in the book Fire and Blood. And I'm trying to see. Yeah, we've got no casting yet or anything about that. Or even a sense of when this might actually hit.
Yeah, no info about when they expect to debut. Nothing about casting. Yeah, this is literally just, sorry we canceled one. Here's 10 episodes of a different one, just in case you still like Game of Thrones. Please don't cancel us.
Yep. Jigsaw. Yeah, they pulled the plug on the other one. I'm glad most of your family watched it. If you didn't watch Game of Thrones, then this may have absolutely no appeal to you, although it was a wonderful series for 5 seasons, and then not. And you just watched BoJack Horseman.
Speaking of Will Arnett.
Yeah, and also brilliant TV that didn't fail.
I just watched the first half of the last season as well.
There you go.
Good stuff.
And Jigsaw
Very
says,
little to say.
Sounds like a dead end to me. It could be a dead end, although we know that it's a fascinating story. Of all of the history that's sort of told in little bits and drabs about the world of Game of Thrones, Old Valyria and its colonies and its rise and its ultimate fall and the dragons and the Targaryens, that's some pretty epic fantasy stuff.
Yep.
And I think that's, I think it has potential to go far.
It does have potential. I know, I'm guessing you covered some of this last week and I wasn't able to join. The stuff that I've been reading about why the other project got canceled was, they're kind of shopping it around, and the idea of going back several thousand years with, to kind of the dawn of the first men and the original White Walkers, et cetera, there wasn't enough sort of continuity with what everybody who's not an avid fan of the books, wouldn't really be familiar enough with that deep backstory, right, or care enough about it, because there's, maybe a couple of Starks, but not really. There's no Targaryens. It's just, it's literally like as set in the northern realm of Westeros. So it kind of makes sense. This strikes me as having a lot more pull for a lot of people. Plus, I mean, clearly, other than like, I don't know what, the Red Wedding, maybe, when we first started seeing Dany flying around on dragons in, what was that, season 3, give or take? I don't remember. There was, you could definitely hear the entire internet go, ooh.
Dragons.
So, dragons.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think part of the problem might have been simply because it was set in the long night. You've essentially got an entire series that, as you say, the only recognizable families are probably the Starks. and whatever like Karstarks and that mean nothing to anybody who haven't read the books.
Hmm.
And it's going to be set in winter always. Now, that's some production problems, and that's just like that's a lot of boring. Um, they're
Not
really
good.
turning toward newcomers on this spin-off, or am I wrong? Jigsaw asks. I Yeah, I think to some extent, yes. I think that might have been in their decision process that high fantasy and dragons are going to attract newcomers more than you know winter-based zombies and no dragons.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh, Jigsaw, I think might have been, I'm guessing here, but might have been referring to the folks running the show, as opposed to the story, the story era. A little bit. One of the Michael Sapochnik was working on it. He did a bunch of Game of Thrones stuff. Um, I think George R. R. Martin sounds like he's going to be more heavily involved. I mean, one of the big knocks against Game of Thrones series was that once the books and the series started to split, and what's his face and the other guy started making it up whole cloth, they just lost the thread, and went off the rails, and pick whatever other metaphor you want there. Hopefully, Martin will be more involved with writing this, and help keep it focused.
so he
That's
has
my hope,
said
anyway.
on his blog that yes, he plans to be more involved in writing, but because there is enough time building up to this series, that he has vowed, mind you, that he will not write a single episode of this series until he has finished Winds of Winter. Which
Hmm.
makes you think that Winds of Winter has to then come out sometime within the next year or so. Um,
Uh, that sounds like a big market
please,
tease, as they say.
please. Yeah, he could be making all this
Yep.
stuff up. Who knows? It'll come out when it comes out, or he'll die.
That's a good one. I can't wait to see the ocean of Funko Pops. I'm with you there. I'm gonna have to clear off some oldies to make some space on my various Funko Pop shelves.
Think about how much
All
money
right, so
they'll
that's
save
our.
that all the characters will just have white hair. So
There you go. All right, so that's our. That's I think that covers our House of Dragons.
that
What do we
covers
got
that.
next?
All right, next
Any
one.
other any other flying freaky animals in the on the horizon?
Well, not really, but we definitely some freaky stuff. This is not, in fact, freaky. This is one of my favorite photos from the convention Walker Stalker Con. This was taken back in 2015 with the wonderful Mr. T USA, who we hasn't been at a con in a long time, and we miss him terribly. Get better, buddy. And a whole bunch of other people. Walker Stalker Convention. It was and I say was, although technically it's still an is thing, but boy, not for long. Um, is a convention specifically devoted to The Walking Dead and some ancillary other zombie related stuff. But it's really Walking Dead, and it would have a lot of Walking Dead cast members as guests. Their vendors were all related to spooky stuff and zombie stuff and things like that. Um, and as a one note convention, it was fun. Now, the cosplayers were all zombified. Sometimes that was really creative.
Hmm.
I completely forgot about what what your wife and daughter-in-law did for this con. And I'm looking through the photos and going,
Yes,
"Oh my god, that's horrifying." Um,
that was
uh,
fun.
that was fun. But the news is apparently Walker Stalker Con is run by scumbags. Um,
Grifters.
Grifters, shysters means lawyer, and I don't know if they're lawyers. So news came out that Kerry Payton, Ezekiel himself, King Ezekiel, came right out on Twitter and told people don't show up to Walker Stalker Con. The next one is coming up in Atlanta. And he said it is time to shut this excrement down. He did not use the word excrement.
You can say it, Roddy. Go ahead.
There you go. Well, you've already said the F-bomb, so yeah, time to shut this shit down. He said, I'm not coming. Norman's not coming. Melissa's not coming. Denai's not coming. Sorry. Cooper's not coming. Confirming more. So the problem is, and the CEO of the company has stepped down. The problem is the local news, not a problem. What happened is the local news station in Atlanta aired a story in July talking about how the company, the Better Business Bureau, had like tons of complaints about the company basically screwing over customers, not getting refunds, doing what everybody often complains about cons doing, which is lying about guests they have booked, and then they cancel. Now, first, let me clear this up. Most cons don't do that. And even Rhode Island most recently had a cancellation and got, thank God, the person who canceled to do a video saying, look, I'm really sorry. When they cancel, it's because of conflicts, usually. Apparently, the station has proof that Walker Stalker Con was, in fact, doing what everybody says cons do and was lying about having guests that had never signed a contract. The CEO has stepped down. I don't think this con is going to be happening ever again. They did have one.
Surprising if it were.
Apparently, they had one in August 21st in Nashville.
I didn't even know about that. I'll have to reach out to our Nashville correspondent and see if she heard any scuttlebutt about that.
Good call. Our Nashville correspondent is not on tonight, but we'll be back next week. That being Gogo Incognito, who's been on the last couple of weeks, so yay. So Walker Stalker Con, I had heard some scuttlebutt the last time it was here about how it wasn't, like there were people who were having difficulty. The price climbs from when it started to even back in 2015 were insane. As a rule, specific fandom-focused cons are way more expensive than general, even like general anime or general comic book, or certainly general pop culture. Star Wars Celebration, any of the Doctor Who stuff, they're always more expensive. Walker Stalker really quickly got ridiculous. And then to find out that they're apparently not honoring refunds it's just awful. In the light of the stuff that happened at Colossal Con recently, or with Colossal Con and Colossal Con East, we got to call these people who are either running cons solely for the sake of making money by ripping people off, apparently what Walker Stalker's been doing, or are absolute reprobates who shouldn't be allowed in public, which is what the leadership of Colossal Con was. Now most of them have been fired or stepped away. We got to keep calling these people out, folks. When you see stuff like this, get it out there so that these people will get out there or get out of there. Rant done.
Yep.
So, Greg, I guess no more Walker Stalker for us.
Guess not. It was, it's fun while it lasted.
It was. And like I said, got some fun pictures. But that's that. Yeah. All right, folks. That's the last. That's the last item we have on our show. Greg, do you have a could we please or could we not?
Well, I'm gonna circle back and I'll give a can we not for something that it looks like you may have missed. Can we not with Fantastic Beasts 3? I don't really know what the point is.
I skipped right over.
Yes, I do. It's money. It's just plain money.
So what Greg is talking about is Fantastic Beasts 3, which is the image from Fantastic Beasts 2 cast that just showed up there. And they're making it. They are going to be. They have greenlit. They're going to start production. They're going to make a Fantastic Beasts 3. No word as to whether or not they're going to be making the 4 and 5, which is what they had planned after number 1. But I'm with Greg. This is a why. What you know? The two movies made 1.47 billion combined.
That's why.
That's why. Now I'm
Yeah.
guessing that's 900 million and 500 million.
Something like that.
Because this last one, I finally saw it last week, and oh,
It was not good.
no, it was
All right.
hideously not good. Louise, welcome to the show. You are just in time for our last subject, which Greg thankfully reminded me that I had missed, and that is that Fantastic Beasts 3 is going to be starting production. So everybody who was just so excited about how Empire Strikes Back ish Fantastic Beasts 2 ended. Well, yay! You get to see some sort of redemption, I think. And apparently, a super minor character who you saw in just a few minutes of the or the beginning of Fantastic Beasts 2. One of the head teachers at Invermorny, the
Yeah.
U.S. school,
Yep.
is going to play a huge role in this upcoming one. So somebody you've seen all of like 3 minutes of.
And I don't know what exactly they're going to do with Jessica Williams, but she's a great actress. She's funny as hell. If they're going to keep up with some of that, the first one that was, the first half of Fantastic Beasts 1, it was a little zany. The whole Niffler and the bank scene was pretty funny. I don't know if they'll kind of dive into that. It got obviously a lot darker after that. The fact that the third one was going to be set in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, is that's interesting. Okay. I guess we'll have to keep an eye out for that one. That'll be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, early 1930s Rio. That's got to be really interesting. Let's see how they deal with all of that wonderful,
We're gonna get into like sort of proto World War II Nazis and cool. Maybe we can punch Nazis with magic spells instead of fists.
Yeah,
all right. That I'm on board for.
They've got their own Nazi in Grindelwald, so
True. All right. So since that was the throwback, I'll do my can we please watch His Dark Materials on HBO, which started this weekend. I'm going to watch it this week, or episode 1. Fantastic book. Pretend the movie didn't happen. It wasn't as bad as people remember it, but it didn't do the books any favors.
And in case anybody doesn't know what you're talking about, the movie was The Golden Compass.
The Golden Compass, thank you. This Philip Pullman is much more directly involved with it. The cast looks great. The animation of the daemons, etc., looks really good. I'm psyched to catch up on this week.
And my could we please? I'll do a tie into that. Could we please watch The Watchmen or watch Watchmen on HBO? It's 3 episodes in now, and as I said in my review on nerdcaliber.com, I'm not a fan of Damon Lindelof. He ended Lost horribly. Was like the poster boy for being awful at that until Benioff and Weiss completely screwed Game of Thrones. Then went on to write Prometheus, Star Trek Into Darkness. I was like, meh. He is the showrunner, the chief writer. This is his baby. And it is this. I can't believe I'm saying this about Lindelof and Alan Moore. It is every bit as layered, dense, and complex as the comic book. It's amazing, and it's based on the comic book, not the movie. So if you're a fan of the comic book, go watch this. The performances are outstanding. The mystery is fantastic. The writing, again, I don't know I'm saying this about Lindelof. The writing is wonderful. So, could we please, everybody, go check that out if you're a Watchmen fan. And with that, we're coming up pretty close to an hour. So yeah, it's our usual Greg. When Greg and I are on, we go an hour or 90 minutes. Um, Never again. For Wonder Llama Photography and cosplay, and or cosplay, and for me, first-person shooter on the internets, Burly Adopter on some other internets, and they're at nerdcaliber.com. Signing off. We'll see you. I don't know if we don't have anything going on this weekend other than you at Brookline Library.
Brookline Public Library, the main branch. If you've got kids, you're in Greater Boston, you like Harry Potter, come by. It's a cool fundraiser. They're going to be doing some neat stuff. I'll be there as Hagrid. We've got a Bellatrix. We've got a Rita Skeeter. We've got. I'm not sure who else we've got. I know there's at least 3 or 4 other people that I'm friends with that are going to be there in some type of Harry Potter cosplay. So it'll be a good time.
Cool,
and a good cause.
And our next con is Super Mega Fest here in Massachusetts, Framingham. It's a lot of fun. It's a good time. So swing on by if you're there and check us out and say hi. Bye-bye, everybody. Jigsaw, thanks for spending time with us. Sorry there weren't more people in. It's usually a lot more active than this. I'm guessing it's the voting night. So, and yeah, oh, by the way, vote if you haven't. Luminous, welcome to the show. I hope you've been lurking, because if not, we're done.
Hi and bye.
So, good night, everybody.